We are live and ready for an intro in 5 seconds. Well, Kufar Akbar, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Crescent discussion group. This is a blog talk radio program dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. We are here every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for about 2 hours. And on Tuesday evenings at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have actually gotten pretty good about going 2 hours. We were going for an hour and a half there for a while, but we've kind of upped our game a little bit. So we have about 4 hours a week we spend here talking to each other, at each other, and we hope it's entertaining. Okay, so today we're welcoming our friend Clifford back. Thank you for coming back, sir. It's good to have you. And we have the usual suspects in the house. And I looked over here. We got a new guest here in chat. I don't know who. GM MSGT. Now, I think this MSGT is like an Air Force rank. Has anybody ever been in the Air Force? Like a master sergeant? I might be wrong on that, but...
Hey, Eric, real quick, I just want to, before I'm handing over the reins of to Clifford here. I mean, I thought spending, 3.5 hours at one time backstage was bad. Clifford, you don't know the story. I joined his live stream once, and he put me backstage, and he read a whole chapter from his book, which still hasn't been published yet. It was some other book. He might be an Islamophobe, yeah. But he read this whole chapter, and he thought he was filibustering me. I literally went and took a shahada, took a shower, went and got food. I was actually in the Burger King drive-thru when he brought me on briefly, and then sent me backstage again because I made a joke and he got all offended. So I told him, I said, dude, thanks for reading your book to me, but if you want people to buy it, you might not want to read the whole thing to them before it comes out, And he's like, I don't do this for money, and he put me backstage again. Anyway, finally, yeah, I actually went and got a 6-pack of beer. I mean, no, seriously, I did all this shopping and stuff. I finally get back, and I literally thought I was still on the show. I was actually talking to Eric on Skype, but I was on my phone in the backstage. And
I was Christmas shopping, listening to all this drama. It was
exactly, yeah, no. So finally, he ended the live stream. I didn't know he ended the live stream, and he's backstage. I think Connie was backstage. Yeah, Connie was doing the recording, and he's sitting there. I'm asking these questions because I don't know if you know the story. He spent 350 days or something like that in jail for beating his wife. And in 2016, I said, Kenny, so you followed Islam, didn't you beat your wife? He said, no, I never beat my wife. He called me a wife beater. I never beat my wife. I said, Kenny, did you punch your wife in the face? And he said, no, I didn't punch her in the face. I punched her in the forehead. I'm like, so you never beat your wife then, dude? He said, well, you're an Islamophobe hater. I mean, no, because it is so ridiculous, dude. This dude is just beyond me. But anyway, I am now giving the crown to you. I forgot what we named it. We got to name it something, but you are now the official
Something patience.
Keenest
Yes.
Crown.
Oh, yeah. Much
I'm giving it to
patience.
you, brother. Yeah, I am giving it to you, brother. That was
Yeah.
simply amazing.
I
Yeah,
Thank you
second
for
the
suffering
notion.
through us. Yes, definitely. That's all I
Yeah,
wanted to say.
Well, I looked at the time on that. It was 5 hours. And I'm like,
Yep.
that's 5 hours of my life you'll never get back. I mean, I cannot do that. But Connie said that she's time stamped. So if she sends me those time stamps, I might be able to save a couple hours off my life. And
Yeah, I still
And
love
do
it
it.
when my buddy was burning his Quran on his live stream. That was priceless, man.
I've seen that video. Look who showed up today. Paul Sutliff in the house. Good afternoon. Good Sunday afternoon to you, sir. Okay, so today we got a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Would you guys quit showing up? Dominic's here. Look at this. All the way from bloody England. Our friend Dominic has.
Oh, wait, everybody, I just got this chat. Hattoon from Speaker's Corner has been stabbed again.
Yeah, Islam is peace, huh? Wow. Jeez.
Okay, can somebody
Maybe we should just pray.
Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that, Darcy?
It's
Darcy,
on
where did you?
YouTube chat. Yeah, Patrick something.
Hatun from Speaker's Corner has been stabbed again at Crescent. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Can somebody drill down on that and see if they can find out
I have.
how she's doing?
Oh my God. Oh, that's from last year.
Go to see if it's on hers. Patrick.
Yeah, I looked.
Okay,
It's not on hers so far.
Okay, Patrick. Can you post your source for this? I'm not doubting it. I just like to get a source here so we can all take a look at it. Okay. Well, let's take. Good Lord. Let's go ahead and take Paul's advice. Let's say a quick prayer for him. Okay.
Amen.
Our dear Heavenly Gracious Father, we come to you today, praising you, glorifying you, and giving you the honor that you alone are due, Father. And we don't understand our world that you've created, and we don't understand the motivations of people of why they would want to commit acts like they have against our sister Hatun, Father. But we would ask that you grant her healing, grant her your care, that she may be healed from this, and that if she needs doctor's care, we would ask that she be with the doctors to care for her, Father. And we would also ask you to touch those hearts of those who have done this, that they would only see the love of Christ that she proclaims there, and understand her motivations for her ministry there. It isn't to intentionally offend people, but it is to expose the lie that was created by what we all believe here is to be the false prophet Muhammad, Father. And we would ask that you would touch those hearts, touch those minds, and heal them of their ignorance, heal them of their blindness, and that your spirit would be passed upon them, so they may know the love of your Son Jesus Christ, Father. We would ask that all this work for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen.
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 This is crazy.
Is there a link that Patrick might have?
I'm looking in chat. I don't.
The bus in the park.
I'm just looking now, checking
So
now.
I did a search on a few different search engines, and the only ones I'm finding anything about are from last year's stabbing.
Yep. Good luck.
Okay. Wow, golly.
Yeah, they're not going to publicize that. They won't.
Checking now. It's 20 minutes long. Victoria, what does this mean? What does this mean here?
This is 56 minutes ago.
Can you guys
How
hear
long
me?
ago? Yeah, we can hear you, Brad. Go.
Okay. So I would check if any of you guys have Jay in your friends list. I would check with him. He would probably be the first to know. 'Cause he's right
Osama would know. Let me ask him.
Yeah.
Just I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, this is this is and I'm glad you brought. I'm not glad about this, but I'm glad we have Clifford here because I want to show you something, Clifford, if you don't mind. There was do you know who Clifford? Let me just ask you this: do you know who Hatun Tash is?
I've heard of her.
Okay, she's this 5'2" giant that goes to Speaker's Corner quite often. Let me see. Okay, hold on just a second. Come on, what did I do with this?
I think I saw her on a YouTube video once or twice.
Yeah, and she. Let me see here. She was there a couple years ago preaching, and let's see here. And when she was preaching, some guy came up and slapped her across the face and ended up breaking her glasses. And then right after this happened, the imam who you appeared on his show the other day posted this right here. Here it is. Okay, I just found it. I was thinking, what the heck did I do with this? Let me put this up here. Share my screen. Share. There we go. Share screen. This is what he put up. He posted this on Facebook. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. So as you can see, what is this guy? Who is this guy? Amir, here. Let me just do this. Amir, let's do this, big man. Here you go. You want to come on the show and try justifying this to us? Go ahead. Here's your link, buddy. Fact check. Instead of posting fake news, she was arrested for pushing a disabled man, and after that, who is this? Okay.
That never happened. I have a
arrested.
call I have a call right now going out. That's reaching out to Hatun herself. So we will hear very soon.
Okay, so we can take the word of what's this guy? Wakas Khan, Mr. Khan. We can take your word for this, that she was arrested for pushing a disabled man. Yeah, I can really see Hatun pushing somebody, all 5'2" of her. This is what these guys do. They sit here and they'll try to say, this is what we call projection. This is where you sit there and you smack somebody, you hit them upside the head, and the person asks you to stop. Hey, would you please stop smacking me upside the head? And they go, oh, what's wrong? Can't you take it? What's wrong? You a sissy or what? And they keep doing it. And then finally, when you smack them up beside the head, they go sniveling and crying to somebody, feigning some form of victimhood. And this is exactly what these guys are doing. It's all her fault, don't you see? She is the one that provoked this guy. He was a disabled guy. What type of scumbag do you got to be in order to, well, there you go. Okay, that's the type of scumbag you got to be in order to.
Yeah, you have to be a scumbag.
Yeah. Okay. She deserved this, mate. Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. That is something. Okay, guys. It's absolutely incredible that they would. I mean, of all places to come and try to say that. Now, come on. Do you think? I mean,
Well,
they think we're as dumb as they are. That's the
Well,
problem.
I called Osama. Osama is calling her. So we'll find out very soon.
Okay. The Crossing the Crescent group. Let's see here. You said she got stabbed. You lied. The footage is already on. No one stabbed her. Okay. All right. If she's not stabbed, that's cool. That's fine. That's just a word that we got. And if we're wrong, we will retract. No problem. But I have no doubt.
You were questioning
that
it.
she did not. She did not intentionally. Let's just put it this way. She pushed a disabled man. Okay. I've seen this type of mantra before. Oh, he pushed me. He hit me. This is after you sat there and pushed him, got up in his face, and was yelling and screaming at him and hitting him first. So you saved that crap. I know that. And what I would like you to do, I'm going to post the link to this when it comes back that she did not provoke. She was not provoked into pushing this guy. You're going to come on here and you're going to go ahead and apologize to us. There's your StreamYard link, buddy. Hatun wasn't stabbed. Okay, Andrew's saying she wasn't stabbed. From the video, she was asked to leave by police and refused and was arrested pretty violently. Okay, well, all right, good. Well, thank God she wasn't stabbed then. We retract. But again, here you have this little 5'2" woman getting arrested because of why? Because she was hurting somebody, she was acting out violently to somebody, or she was telling the truth about the most demonstrably false prophet in all of human history, Muhammad. I'm thinking she was probably saying something, or maybe she was just showing pictures or cartoons of him, God forbid, in a Western society.
One of the things that she has been doing is showing, I mean, the latest videos I've watched, she's actually been asking people, what's the difference between you and I? And looking at the different Qurans. That says something. They would be offended that they would go after her and do that kind of thing because she's asking questions, you and I. That says something about how shallow a faith is.
Okay, so she's asking questions about oh, whoa, we got a little admission here. Look at here. So she's asking, oh, you have more than one Quran? Oh, darn. I mean, come on. Is that what you're saying, Paul?
After some black guy took her book, that after 10 minutes, she got arrested. That doesn't make any sense.
She did it by mistake, the push, but after that, some guy took her. What is it? Some black guy. Why can't it be some Asian guy? Why can't it be some Hispanic?
Well, the majority of the people that you're seeing around her lately are from Africa, from North Africa.
Yeah. Oh, did you see Bob the Builder had a video this week out there where a guy just gets, I mean, it was crazy. This is the spirit of Satan that indwells these people. We have the spirit of the Holy Ghost in us, the Spirit of God in us, that gives us this desire to be peaceful, this desire to treat others as we would have them treat us. This is the type of behavior that is inspired by Islam. She did. Okay. Wow. Not a good way to start the show. We're 23 minutes into the show already, and we have 18 minutes. Can't you tell time, Kaffer? Okay, so what are we doing today? Today, let's go ahead, and I want to talk about this shirt, Boston Red Sox. The reason why I wore this today is because it isn't that I'm a huge baseball fan, ever been a huge baseball fan. Okay. You owe Muslims an apology. Would you? Okay, I got 2 words. No, I don't. No. All love and truth. I don't know anybody.
Hey, they're the ones that practice lying as part of doctrine, not us.
Anyway, I went to Boston this past week. And my wife and I and my granddaughter went up there, and we went to the Revolutionary War sites, and we went to Plymouth for the Pilgrims, and we also went to Salem. Now, let me just say one thing about Salem. There was this, okay, we had gotten there. When we got there, was it yesterday? We got there yesterday. They had just finished a gay pride parade, or not a gay pride parade, a pride parade, LGQ, you know what I'm saying, LGBTQSTRB or whatever it is. And every freak from the four corners of Massachusetts was there in full regalia. I had never seen such a display. And I don't want to, sit here and sound like I'm some Quaker or, some, pious, but I have never seen that amount of debauchery all in one spot in my life. I saw women wearing outfits that I don't even know how to describe it, that you would never want to see anybody wearing at any time.
Just to be clear, Eric, you're a guy who served in the military. You've traveled the world, and you've seen many things that you probably wish we would never see. And you're saying this was the worst you've seen. This
struck the core of my morality and decency, human decency. The debauchery that went, that I could not believe. And my granddaughter is right there with me. And, God love her. She's brilliant. We actually went to Harvard too. She wants to go to Harvard, which is a lot of money. But anyway, she's got this great mind, and we were able to talk and reason through it. And we were able to talk from a religious perspective of why all this is, and she understands. And I praise God for that. But when you couple that with the amount of, because it was, of course I was going there for the Salem witch trial stuff. That's what, you go there, you want to see what they have there. And it's not worth your trip, folks. If you ever want to make a trip, don't bother. There's nothing there. They have a couple cemeteries. We went to a couple cemeteries, took pictures of the guys that were judges at the witch trials. But other than that, there's nothing there. But the amount of, what do they call that? Not incantation, where you
incantation,
divinations, spell shops, all of these things. It's just, and I was just floored by
necromancing.
There you go. Yeah, they had one of them. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up here. One of them, they had this family. Had their son. He was probably 6 years old, maybe, I don't know, maybe younger. Mommy, I want to go in here. And here's where he wanted to go. Let me see if I can find this. It's going to be right here. I don't know if you can see that. It says, you guys can't read that. It says Pentagram, Witchcraft and Magic Shop. And then, of course, you got two ladies, quote unquote, walking by in capes and gay pride. Oh, it's just my spirit was just, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to act like I'm pious here or anything like that. But you can't, and it's really hard to insult me. I promise, it really is. But that was insulting. It was just it was just disgusting. So save your trip. If you have to go up there, don't go up there. Don't go up there in June because you might hit this parade again. And I don't.
Sounds like Salem needs another witch trial burning.
There's one more warning out there. There is a gay rights movement now has July also.
What?
So
say that
again.
They
have June and July. They have 2 months.
Well, that's what they do. You give them an inch, they take a mile.
Okay, why can't they make it like during January and February, where they would have to actually wear coats or something? They go out and they just display. I mean, it would just. Oh my
Did you happen to take pictures when you saw all that debauchery and everything? Did you take pictures, Eric? Eric.
I don't think he'd want to share those. I'm not sure if he's frozen.
No, not here.
Are you
Not
there,
here,
Eric?
I think he's stuck. So yeah,
The joy of being frozen.
yeah, online, right?
So that's what they mean by the chosen frozen, huh?
I was shocked when I hear about when I heard they had 2 months. I could not believe that. I thought I was kind of shocked. I mean, I live in Libland, New York, and I've known a lot about these things, unfortunately, since I was a freshman in high school. And then to learn even more, yeah. I'm just...
Well, anything to make money, I would think,
It is. Clifford, you're 100% right.
I think, it's always a matter of marketing. And as long as they can get money out of this deal, they don't care, whether it's little kids or adults. Green is green to them. And when they see dollar bills, they're going to capitalize on it.
On top of that, Boston was at one point labeled or given the title of gay capital of the East. So, yeah, things I wish I never heard.
They take a perfectly innocent word like gay, which means happy, and then switches all around to mean something entirely different than its original meaning.
Yeah, they're perverting the English language. Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Eric.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, Eric. I was asking you, Eric, did you take any pictures of the scenes of the debauchery that you were over?
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't. No, that was
okay.
Well, hold on.
Well, don't show them here. I'm not asking that. I'm just saying.
No.
Just saying. Did you take any pictures? Yeah.
No, I wasn't. Well, I did take. Hold on. This is about the extent of it. I saw that and I thought, you know what? Are you kidding me? Anyway. Okay. I feel like I need to go to do some voodoo or something after talking about that. I feel terrible. Okay, so Supreme Court decisions this week. I was pretty impressed. I don't know if I'm sure our friend Radical Moderate has an opinion on the first one. What was the first one? Was it Thursday? Supreme Court, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Inc. versus Bruin, Superintendent of New York State Police, where now they ruled that you don't have to have justification in order to get a concealed carry permit.
Yeah, so in New York, Paul might know more about this, but in New York, evidently it was you had to prove that you had a reason to carry and conceal a weapon, that you had to prove that your life was in danger, which, if your life really was in danger, with the bureaucracy and red tape, okay, that it would take like 6 months to process this stupid thing, you'd already be dead. So therefore, if you weren't dead in 6 months, therefore that would mean that you really didn't need the concealed carry permit. I don't know if it was 6 months, maybe it was 30 days or whatever. I mean, the whole thing was stupid. So now the Supreme Court says, nope, every U.S. citizen has the right to carry and conceal. Abiding by state laws, of course, to get that carry and conceal permit. And so major victory.
Right, and that's going to ripple down to the rest of the states too, like California and all these other, like Chicago. Ooh, look at you! Illinois is going to have to.
We don't actually have that in Illinois. All you got to do is take a class, pass the basic safety firearms class, and take some, not be a marksman, but actually hit the target when shooting. But you don't have to go through like prone stances and shoot behind corners and things like that. And I see you laughing there, Eric. But yeah, I bet. So. Yeah.
Okay. Just for one, Rad and I have been shooting together before. And it was like Stevie Wonder and Helen Keller going to the shooting range is probably a good description of it. Yeah. It was.
I almost got us thrown off the range. Yeah.
I know. I've never been to trouble at a range before, and we're there 15 minutes, and this kid's working the range. He's like, "Guys, could you not like shoot 6 times at each of those clay pigeons? You're only supposed to be shooting 1 time." I didn't know it was a rule. But we're just sitting there. Anyway.
Yeah,
okay.
And the next one is the big one, which we all know is going to come down, but that is the big one. That is
right, the big one, the Roe v. Wade, and I got two words: Donald Trump.
Yep.
And if you look at what he said when he was campaigning, he said that he would select Supreme Court justices that would overturn this case, and all three of them, Amy Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch, voted for it. And it was crucial that Amy Coney Barrett got in there. Thank God, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but thank God Ruth Bader Ginsburg assumed room temperature in time for Trump to get her appointed to the courts. Because if that wouldn't have happened, it was a 5-4 decision. Roberts, again, flipped. And what we've done now is we've thrown 50 years, and this to try to say that the Supreme Court gets every decision right is absolutely absurd.
Dred Scott decision.
That was just going there. The Dred Scott decision basically said that slavery can go anywhere. It's right there in the Constitution, don't you see? Where does under property rights? It says the federal government has the right to regulate property rights. But then you're coming back and say the federal government doesn't have the right to regulate property rights? Are you kidding me? So they turned this entire decision on its head in order to get that decision passed. And that's what drove this country absolutely crazy. That was one of the final straws that pushed us into the Civil War. People don't realize this is not 1857 stuff. I mean, this is right up to the eve of the Civil War. So when this was passed, people in the whole country are like, what, huh? We can't do, you mean the president? The president said that he can't do anything about it. Congress no longer has any authority whatsoever when admitting new states to the Union to allow that state to exercise popular sovereignty, to decide for themselves. That's what it said. It says government has no right to do that. They were wrong then. What was the case where they had separation of church and state? Was that wasn't Brown versus Board of Education, was it? Brown versus Board of Education.
You mean for segregation, not separation of church and state? Yeah, I think it was Brown versus Board of Education. Separate and equal was the thing.
Right. It was Henry Black, though.
Henry Plessy was the separate equal, and Brown versus Board of Education is the case that was one that said separate is not equal.
Right. Okay. So which one said that for the separation of church and state? Plessy versus Ferguson, you're absolutely right, is codifying segregation. Brown versus Board of Education meant that you could no longer overturn Plessy versus Ferguson. 70 years of case law. Oh, by the way, or 60, at least 60 anyway. I can't. But anyway, they said that there's a wall between the government and the church. There's a separation of church and state, and all the Black was doing is citing a letter by the Danbury Baptists to Thomas Jefferson over their concern. And Jefferson's reply was, there's a wall between the separation of church and state. But what he meant is that it was the opposite of what Black was asserting, is that the government has no ability to influence the church, not the other way around. And they turned this on its head. Now, I'm wondering if they would be willing to argue that. So what they've done is that you said, well, we've never had a civil right taken away before.
You didn't have a civil right to begin with.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Alito's like, what civil right are you talking about? From where in the Constitution are you drawing this? And, oh, by the way, it's not taking away your right to have an abortion. All it's doing is just saying it's not a civil right. If your state in New York, California, wherever having all these protests, has a vote to say that abortion is legal here in the state, guess what? It's legal. But the legislatures decide this, and this is where it needed to be decided in the first place. Anybody who understands this issue clearly knows that this is what we call, it's a government principle where federalism, where the power is shared between the federal and state governments, and the federal government cannot assume every single power that comes down the pipe. And that's 10th Amendment stuff. That's 9th Amendment stuff. And so to say that a woman has the right to choose, and we make that universal across the board, the entire country, is what Alito was basically saying. You just can't do that. You cannot, now, if you want to pass a constitutional amendment, Good luck with that one. If you want to try to pass a law, which, oh, by the way, would get struck down in the courts because of this decision at the federal level, because we had Nancy Pelosi saying, "Oh, well, we're going to make this a what did she say? It was going to be like this is on the ballot in November." Oh, okay. You want to make abortion on the ballot on November? All right, we'll find who the forces of evil are in this country then. You wench.
That's right.
Have these people even read the Constitution that's supposed to be bringing down these laws about the Constitution?
No, they haven't.
Because I've never seen anything in our Constitution that speaks of gay rights or of any of the abortion rights or anything else. I've never read any of that in the U.S. Constitution, and I got a paper copy of it, but
if you go to the Bill of Rights,
I'm like,
to the amendments,
how do these people? So these judges can arbitrarily to say, well, this is what's in the Constitution, even though it's not there. So
Clifford, the one thing I would say is that as a retired social studies teacher, every student in my U.S. history class read the Constitution. They read the entire thing. Whether they remembered anything is another statement, but I think that should be a requirement of every child in the entire country. We did that through U.S. history, and we did it again when we taught something we call PIG, participation in government. So,
Okay, do you remember what? Hold on. Do you remember what Pelosi said about some bill she was trying to pass?
we have to pass it to see what's in the bill.
Right.
Well, that's kind of what happened with that Islamophobia law that I was talking about, that bill that passed. Yeah.
Did you guys hear what? This is so obscene of the left. They seriously, they're only. I mean, high gas prices, high interest rates, soon to be high unemployment, soon to be a recession, baby formula shortage, Biden's war in Ukraine, the failed Afghanistan withdrawal. All these things do not matter to them because they cannot kill their babies, or they cannot allow, because now all of a sudden women in some states are not going to be allowed to kill their babies. All of a sudden that sets them off, and now this is the galvanizing issue to them. Well, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, okay, however you pronounce her name. Her name is Sandy. Really, it is Sandy. She's actually advocating, Joe Biden, you can open up abortion clinics on federal land. Think about that. Think about the obscenity of that. I mean, that is just worship to Moloch. That is just, honestly, you're going to put a federal, dude. Seriously, people wonder how Jews got into the trains. But at least the Jews had men with guns pointing at them and beating them to get them on the trains. They want people actually willing to go show up to these federal genocide clinics where they can kill their babies and say, oh, so I can have a better life. But here's another problem with that. Workforce. Hello, you're killing generations. What is it? 65 million American citizens in the United States of America are not alive today because of that ruling. Think about, we would have 65 million American workers. Well, give or take the last 10 years or so. You know what I mean?
Taxpayers.
Taxpayers too, yeah, taxpayers, yeah.
No, Rad, you also think about this. It would also be their children.
Exactly.
Too, so... And that's, but thank God that these guys stood up to the mob. Even today, they two of them. My understanding is two of the justices are in hiding today because Thomas and I think it's Alito. I can't remember. Sorry, I'm willing to be wrong on that, but think about how much physical, professional, and moral courage that it took for these guys to stand up to this, knowing that this was coming. If you look at the rapid doggedness of some of these people that are on TV, it's just like Salem. It's evil. We must be able to have an abortion. This has to.
Yep, it's their religion.
To do what? To kill another human being? Well, it's not another human. We've all heard the arguments, and it's just amazing how blinded these people are and how
it's just
in need they are of Christ.
Well, it's not just
they have to hate God for that. Yeah.
Did you all hear about what happened in Colorado? They burned down a Christian pregnancy center.
Yep, it's all over the place.
They and I'm just going to read this. I'll put the link in the chat room while I'm thinking of it. I need to go there to do that. But Hatun Tash, I'll put it in private. Sorry, that was not Hatun Tash I've been talking about. I was trying to find her thing, but let me put it in private and somebody can share it in the public. So I'm not in YouTube right now. This kind of blew my mind. Colorado Christian Crisis Center for Pregnant Women was vandalized and set on fire Saturday morning, a day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruling. And they did this in the middle of the night, 3:20 in the morning, so they couldn't be found. They said there was messages all over it. If abortions aren't safe, neither are you, one message said, with an anarchy symbol. Oh, who are those guys? Those are the Antifa idiots. They say had been written a dozen times at pro-life centers all over the place. I'm just sick.
Okay, it looks like I'm going into the matrix here, but here's the article Paul posted. Let me post it in chat for everybody.
Where's the other?
I'm going to stop sharing my screen because when I share it, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello.
I can hear you now.
Lee.
Loud and clear.
Okay. All right. So let's. Okay. So I'm sure everybody's happy about the passage of or the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It's an answer to prayer, years of prayer, and we should be celebrating instead of listening to the talking heads on TV, lamenting the fact that we're not being. What did Biden say? That we're not keeping up with most not civilized, but advanced countries or something like that. And I'm thinking, because if we were, we would be turning in our guns. We would be paying 40-50% of our wages in taxes. There would be perpetual 10% unemployment. You would have a 20% value added tax to everything that you buy. We would be all on trains instead of driving our automobiles. $10 a gallon for it's just so. Yeah, I thank God we're not like the rest of those countries. Okay, let's get to the good stuff that I wanted to talk to y'all about today. And of course, I threw together a real quick slideshow. Doggone it, I didn't finish it, but that's okay. I was supposed to put in these transitions. You know me and my slideshows, I put in these transitions. What I wanted to do today is I wanted to talk to you about the Pilgrims. And when we talk about the Pilgrims, I wanted to kind of contrast them to Islam today. What type of principles did the Pilgrims give us here in the United States, and then bounce that off of what is taught by Islam and what the Sunnah of Muhammad says and does. So let me just give you a real quick overview here. Let's go start at 35,000 feet, then we'll zoom in on the Pilgrims. But let's look at a little history here. Of course, Christopher Columbus sails the ocean blue in 1492. Now, a lot of people don't know this. After Christopher Columbus is credited with discovering the New World in 1492, there was a treaty that was signed by the Pope at the time, granting everything west of this line, this demarcation line, to the country of Spain, and everything east of it to the country of Portugal. And this is called the Treaty of Tordesillas. What they did not know is how much land existed west of the line to include North and almost all of South America, and how much little land existed east of the line. So Spain and Portugal is on with this because of the Treaty of Tordesillas. And then in 1534, of course, we have Henry VIII breaking away from the Catholic Church, the Pope is no longer in charge, and he does not have to honor the Treaty of Tordesillas, and he forms the Anglican Church, or the Church of England. England starts in on the colonization gig with Roanoke in there's two attempts to colonize Roanoke, I think 1585, and then again in 1587. In 1587, of course, they call them the Lost Colony, because of when they came back, they went back to England to resupply, and unfortunately, that was 1588, and the Spanish Armada was attacking England, and every boat was called into service, and they didn't get back there for 3 years, and they get back there and nobody's there. And then you had Jamestown, which was the first permanent English colony in 1608. Now, at this time, the same time, you have two separatist groups brewing in England. You have the Puritans and the Pilgrims. Now, the Puritans, folks, you need to understand, this is so important to understand. The Puritans wanted to reform the Church of England. So when we think of Puritan society, they wanted to take this church that was formed out of the Catholic Church that was corrupt. 1517, remember, that's Martin Luther's Reformation, okay? The 95 Theses. And they want to reform it. So they wanted to purify it. The Pilgrims recognized the fact that this church is just so doggone corrupt, it cannot be reformed. So we want to separate ourselves from it. So the Pilgrims were separatist groups versus the Puritans being a group that wanted to reform it. All the while, we need to understand that if you were not a member of the church, if you did not agree with the church's teachings, you were considered a traitor to the crown.
Because the proper phrase was non-conformist. That was the
nonconformist. How polite of you English people in your society. Non-conformist.
No, because John Bunyan was classed as non-conformist. So if anybody preached outside the main Church of England church, he was classed as non-conformist, and then they were just literally put in prison like John Bunyan was.
Right, and keep in mind, they were in prison. That would be some of the most severe punishments, or killed. Some of them were killed for this, but they weren't allowed to join guilds or hold certain types of jobs, and they were a very repressed part of society itself. So the Pilgrims, who want to get completely away from the Church of England, they set sail for Holland.
America.
They go to Holland. They go to the Netherlands, and they're in the Netherlands. I think they're there for 12 years. And the Netherlands are if you don't know about your history here, the Dutch are a very tolerant people, and the Dutch establish a colony here in the North America called. Are you ready for this? This is why history's hard. New Netherlands, and it's where New York City is today. So that was the Dutch colony, the New Netherlands. So the Pilgrims leave. Let's go back to my slide here. The Pilgrims leave England, or leave the Netherlands, go back to England, and they get on two ships. Let's see. Return to England, sail for New Netherland. Okay, so when they return to England, they sail to New Netherland on two ships, the Mayflower, of course, and the Speedwell. And the problem with the Speedwell, everybody knows it wasn't very speedy and it wasn't very well. It sprung a leak.
We just lose you? Eric, we can't hear you.
We missed you.
I think it's a StreamYard issue again. Oh, the joy. My family came on that second Mayflower, and I learned that one of my ancestors actually got these were the Brownists. If you're looking in England and you want to know more about the Pilgrims, they were the Brownists. And they were the ones who actually wrote a treatise against Dr. Matthew Sutcliffe, which is a distant relation. And he, in return, went to the king and said, "Let them go. Send them to America. Send them out, to that colony area. Get rid of them."
Yeah, anywhere but here.
Yeah. So one of my relations is part of the reason why I'm here, because it's funny because one of the other relations in my family came on the second Mayflower. They were the men of Kent, and supposedly they had money. So when I got to go to Boston myself, I stopped in Plymouth, and they said, "Well, we don't know anything about a second Mayflower," because they would only play up to the first one coming. I don't know if you encountered that too, Eric, but
Well, I didn't hear the last part. I just got back. I'm sorry.
oh, they I was talking about how I visited Plymouth, and there was my family came on the second Mayflower.
Mm-hmm.
My family's actually involved in the Pilgrims coming here.
Really?
Yeah, because the Brownists wrote a treatise against Dr. Matthew Sutcliffe, who was Dean of Exeter, and he went and complained to the king. As a result, they are here. My family's here.
You know, I was there. We were there yesterday. Yeah, we were there yesterday. And there was a lady filming this and that's what I'm going to talk about. This monument that we were looking at, and she says, "You see that name right there? That was my great grandfather, whatever, how many greats it was."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, well, hey, that's pretty impressive." And you know, we of course you strike up this conversation. Anyway, okay, so all right, so they have to return to England. They only take about half of them, and they take 102. But now, when they get back to England, you got to remember they started off in August, and this is a 3-week voyage, and they started off in August, so they should have landed in New Netherland or establish a colony at the mouth of the Hudson. And this is why they picked this. The Pilgrims picked this is because they knew that the New Netherland colony, would be more tolerant of them establish a colony next to them because of their separatist attitudes and leanings, and that they would be tolerated. So they wouldn't have this overburdening Church of England dogma forced upon them, and that they would have a partner there with the New Netherlands. Problem: when they go back to England after the Speedwell falls out, and they leave in mid-September, and instead of taking 3 weeks to get to the New Netherlands, it takes 8. And the reason why is because in October, you have what they call the North Atlantic gales kicking in, and they got blown all over the North Atlantic, and they ended up getting pushed off course, and this is why they ended up all the way up in Cape Cod. Now, if you know anything about Boston, in November, it's what they call cold. Very cold. And these guys had prepared for a voyage that was only supposed to take 3 weeks. Now it's taken 8 weeks, and it's the middle of winter, and they're not even in the place that they're supposed to be. So what do? They write their own charter, and this is where we have laying the framework for. Whoops, let me put this back up here. I'm sorry. I have to re-add it because I got kicked out again. I don't know. Is this kicking me out? Is sharing my screen kicking me out? You guys think? I hope not. Anyway, they write the Mayflower Compact. Now, if you don't know anything about the Mayflower Compact this is one of those 4 significant documents in human history. You have, of course, the Magna Carta, the English Bill of Rights, the Mayflower Compact, and the United States Declaration of Independence. Now, the Mayflower Compact, this is the first time where you have majority rule, self-rule. We make the laws, and we agree to abide by them. This has never been tried in human history before, where the people make their own laws and rule themselves. So this is why we studied the Mayflower Compact. Now, the Mayflower Compact, let me just show you what it says real quick. I'm sorry for the history lesson here, folks, but it's, come on. The Mayflower Compact. Now, you tell me if these guys believed in the separation of church and state. Okay. In the name of God, amen. That's the way it begins. In the name of God, amen. Yeah, we believe in separation of church and state. Shut your pie hole. Now look at, why did they come? Why did they come? Right here. Having undertaken for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith. Why did they come to the Americas? For the advancement of the Christian faith. So to sit here and try to say that our country is not founded on Christian principles is idiocy. It is stupid. I'm letting this Steve guy in. I don't know.
It's called lying.
It is. You're absolutely right, Connie. It is dishonesty. Who is this Steve guy?
Yes.
I'm going to have to.
Is this Steve? Is this our Steve? Because I did.
Steve?
I did send it to him.
Steve who?
Hussein, you know,
Oh,
Mashni.
Mashni. Oh, I don't know.
Mashni.
No.
No?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see if he ever gets in here. He's got the Wheel of Death going according to my screen. Anyway, okay, so the Mayflower Compact, they signed the Mayflower Compact and everybody's happy they can go ashore. No. Half of them died that winter. Half. 48 of the 102 people that were on the Mayflower died that winter. And that spring, the captain of the ship says, this is a disaster. Let's go back to England. And every single last one of them said, no, we're staying. And we're going to build our own colony here in the New World. And we're going to live by the tenets of our faith, of the tenets of God. And they established and gave us 4 basic principles that I wanted to touch on today. And it's so important to understand these principles that they gave us, and then compare because this is the Crossing the Crescent discussion group, and compare and juxtapose those principles established by Muhammad and Islam. So let's go ahead and jump right back on here. And hopefully I won't get the Wheel of Death again. All right. Now there's a monument there. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There's a monument there in Plymouth that isn't Plymouth Rock. I mean, Plymouth Rock is just this big old rock that they build this big marble thing around. It says 1620, and that's about it. And there's a long story that goes with that. And the park rangers, they try to give you a bunch of revisionist crap with it. And I basically walked away from it. We went up and saw this thing. This thing is 187 feet high. This thing is absolutely humongous. And it is a monument dedicated to the Pilgrims and the principles that they abided by and established in our country. Now, this lady up here, her name is Faith. Let me see if I can get up here. This up here, her name is Faith. And faith in who? Faith in Allah. Faith in God. But what kind of scares me is she's doing the one finger pointing thing to heaven. So I don't know if Muslims would want to try to say, oh, look at it. It's Islamic. It's an Islamic statue. They're right there in Plymouth. We were there first. I don't know if they'd want to do that. But anyway, and she's holding the 10 Commandments in her hand, and she's granted wisdom. That's the symbol of the star on her forehead. So you have the statue of Faith, Lady Faith, establishing the tenets and the principles of our founders. Now, if this is what it says on the side of the monument. It says, National Monument to the Forefathers, erected by a grateful people in remembrance of their labors, sacrifices, and sufferings for the cause of civil and religious liberty. So here they're speaking, of course,
Amen.
Of the Pilgrims. Now, this was funded by the Massachusetts legislature. Oh, by the way, ain't that weird? No, it's the same Massachusetts legislature today that allows LGBTQ TV RST pride parades to go on and flaunt their sinful nature in front of God. And you have 4 separate statues that go around it. Let's see. Oops. Come on. Let's go back here. So you got 1, 2. Let's see. 1, 2, and then there's one behind it, and there's one on this side of it also. Okay, faith. All right. So morality is one of the statues. Now, when you start talking about the morality of the 10 Commandments, what the 10 Commandments teaches. So as you can see here, she has the 10 Commandments in her hand, and also how the Bible is a revelation for God. And she has the scroll from the book of Revelation in her hand.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. This if you guys ever get there, you have to go look, because this is not advertised in Plymouth. It is not on any public literature there, this is a publicly funded and public attraction there in Plymouth, and it's not advertised anywhere. I had to actually get on my phone to find it. So morality, a morality that comes from the prophets. So you have the statue of the prophets on the side of her statue, and of course you have the 10 Commandments here in the hands of the prophet, and that a morality that must be established by or spoken of and preached by the evangelist. Now notice this is a morality that is not imposed by those people who are less moral. This is a morality that comes from God. This is a principle that the Pilgrims establishes, that our morality does not come from state legislatures, does not come from Supreme Court justices sitting on high in black robes. It comes from God, the Ten Commandments, and the Bible. This is one of those principles that the Pilgrims established. The next one is God's law. Now, notice here, you have the Ten Commandments here representing the law. And then, of course, the raised hand here represents mercy. So a law that is just, and you have equal treatment under the law. And this is where you actually get justice. And then also, this law is mercy and grace. So in order to have law, you also have to have mercy. You can't, for somebody, let's say somebody goes out and they get picked up. Oh my gosh, you guys aren't going to believe this. We were over by a replica of the Mayflower, and there's these 3 guys sitting on these rocks, 50 feet from the Mayflower replica, where we're going to walk through and take a tour of, smoking weed in public around kids. What? God help us. God help our country. But under the Sharia, that wouldn't happen.
No, you'd be killed.
Right. But the first interaction I had with an Iraqi when I was in Iraq, we were on a convoy up from Anajef going to Baghdad, and we had stopped, and an Iraqi gentleman, maybe 25, 30, walked up to me and wanted to sell me some hashish. True story. First interaction I had with an Iraqi citizen was when by the time we got to Baghdad, his first interaction I had with one, and he wanted to sell me some hash. Anyway, back to this. Okay, so enough of the ganja story. Okay, so this is a law that's based on mercy and grace. And if you look at Quran 5:33, tell me if this is mercy and grace. This is the recompense of those who fight against Allah or against God and his messenger and hasten about the earth to do corruption. I've been accused of committing corruption on the land before, Clifford. You never guess who accused me of committing corruption in the land?
The imam.
The imam, yeah. This. I think that was the same video he told you sit in your corner, Connie.
Yep, until asked to be spoken to.
Right.
Women are to be seen but not heard. Is that it?
Yeah. It's amazing what this guy does. It's the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. Okay.
Actually, Clifford, well, we got to give an explanation, Clifford. He did a 5-hour hate fest against us on YouTube, and in which he was addressing Connie specifically, and he said, what is that woman? Tell her to shut up. Usually speak when spoken to. Alhamdulillah. You can hear me now?
We can hear you now, but I don't know what the heck is going on with the stream. Maybe we have to find a different platform. I mean, this is just driving me nuts.
Okay, well, I'll let you go. Never mind.
No, it's okay, Rad. I'm just saying it's not your fault. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just frustrating trying to work through these issues. Okay.
All right.
Let's get back to this, away from the ganja. But look what the law of mercy and grace grants you. That you're to be slaughtered, they shall be slaughtered or crucified. That's right there in the Quran. Slaughtered, crucified, or had their hands and feet cut off at opposite ends. There's your mercy in Islam. And compare that to what the Pilgrims taught. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't realize this, that the Pilgrims, they executed one of their own based on the testimony of 2 Native Americans. The guy had either stolen from them or raped. I can't remember what the guy had done, but they executed this guy based on the testimony of 2 of those Indians.
Wow.
So that tells you how advanced in culturally, socially, societally, that's even a word, they were. But anyway, big difference there. All right, education. Wait, is that the law? Education. All right, this is something Paul and I know a little bit about and the necessity for it. And it would be a God centered education and to read the Bible. This is when we go. I went to Harvard. Harvard was established in, I think it was 1636 was the year that sticks in my mind. Their purpose at Harvard was to train ministers. That's the purpose of Harvard, was to train ministers. And their credo was Christ, the church, and truth. You never guess what their credo is today.
Witchcraft.
Truth. That's it. Everything else is off. If you go to their symbol, their what do they call their shield or whatever? I don't know what it is, but it says Veritas, which is truth. Edwin knows something about that. Is he here? He jumped off. But I mean, they don't. If you look at Harvard, they used to have a school of theology, and now what is it? It's a school of
religion.
Religion, right? Yeah, that tells you how far and unmoored they have come.
They also have a school of Sharia.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
They have an Islamic seminary, if I remember right. I know Yale does. So
that's sick.
I've never heard of that one.
As your tax dollars hard at work. Well, they're supposed to be a private university, aren't they? I don't know. I don't care. Okay. So anyway, the point of Harvard is to train ministers. This is how important it was to the Puritans. This is actually a Puritan value here also, is to educate people, to train them to read the Bible and to train others on the Bible. And you would be the youth. And this is why you have a woman here, because women generally at that time took on the role of teaching the kids to read and write, and you would have that motherly teaching them
nurture.
Very good, great word, Connie. Nurturing them, and based on wisdom, not just rote memorization, but based on wisdom from what? So you can actually think from the Bible, which is represented here, and from the world around us, which is represented here. So you have all this symbology all over this thing. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And compare that to the rote memorization that you go through today. There's no wisdom involved there. It's just rote memorization. You remember the Yasser Qadi comment that he made to Muhammad Hijab last year, or the year before last, when they had their famous meltdown? He says, the initial person is supposed to just first memorize and repeat what their teachers tell them, and then if they start, the next step is if they start to ask questions, you can push, but you can only push so far, and then only a very few step into this where you do a deep dive where you can actually have understanding. This is what they were teaching kids to do, is to think. They would have wisdom to be able to analyze things, versus madrasas where all they're taught is to memorize. Thank you, Bruce. Bruce says hit like. Oh, I forgot to say, I hate. Golly, I stink. Subscribe, like, share, and
ring the bell.
Ring the bell. There you go. Notification. Thank you.
Yeah, don't forget to ring the bell.
Can't ever forget that. All right, and then the last one is liberty. Now, this liberty guy this is a tough dude. Now, liberty is freedom, means freedom. If you look here, he's no longer shackled. These chains have come off his ankles, so he's no longer shackled by what? Having this grip of tyranny on him. And tyranny is represented by this lion here. He's conquered tyranny. And if you look on the side here, we ain't going to be nobody's dhimmi, is basically what he's doing. So you compare that to what Islam teaches today, that you are going to be subjugated to their law, to the Sharia, and that you're going to be conquered. And if you don't, then you're going to be a little dhimmi, and you're going to sit under the foot of some jackbooted thug, I guess. I mean, who's going to enforce this anyway? Who enforces these laws in Islamic countries? Anybody know? The everyday citizen does. That's who does it. We get a couple people on here from
the
Pakistan.
Sharia police, if they have it.
Yeah. Some of them. As a matter of fact, a lot of those countries have that going on. So freedom means that the freedom that they're speaking about is that freedom that brings peace and tranquility towards each other, based on our differences, and that tranquility, where you have that peace that surpasses all understanding. Now you compare that when you look at here, you must recognize the individual liberties of others, even the liberty to walk around looking like a zoo animal in public and calling it some type of pride. You have that liberty to do that in this country. Doesn't mean we have to agree with it. It doesn't mean that we're going to celebrate it, but you do have that liberty to do that. Under the Sharia, no, not so much. Fight those who do not believe in Allah, the last day, do not consider unlawful what Allah and His Messenger have made unlawful, and do not adopt the religion of truth. And it goes on to say, until they feel subdued and pay the jizya. That's what it says at the end of that one. So you look at the legacy of the Pilgrims' 4 principles. Of course, you start with faith in God, and faith in God brings you morality, brings a just law, brings a universal education that brings wisdom, and that which in turn gives us liberty in the free exercise thereof.
Okay, so when it talked about liberty, then see, the left is making that perversion, because if liberty has all those names above it, faith, morality, and all those that you just got finished sharing, so they're
Right.
perverting what liberty really means.
Well, they're using
comes under.
What they're doing is they're using their immorality and justifying it by having liberty.
Right.
And that's kind of that is the opposite, the antithesis of what the Pilgrims taught. What the Pilgrims said is that in order to have that liberty, you first have to be a moral and just society, an educated society, one that obeys the law, God's law. But without that, then what you have is what I saw in Salem yesterday. It was just this absolute debauchery of human morality. And it isn't just that. It's like a repressive demonic spirit that exists there because of these trials. Now, if you guys know anything about the Salem witch trials, 200 people were charged with witchcraft. And and it was the Puritans. So let's make sure we understand which group of people this was. It was the Puritans that this arose in their church. And it was a bunch of little girls, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, accusing a bunch of old women and men of forcing them to do evil things. Or anyway, it ended up in the death of 20 people. Now, I always thought that a dog was hung. And after I was talking to this guy there at the cemetery, he was one of the, I don't even say he was a park ranger, but he was somebody that, anyway. He said, actually, that wasn't true. They did not hang a dog, because when you teach this to a bunch of kids, you say, well, they ended up hanging 20 people for witchcraft, and they hung a dog too. And as soon as you say they hung a dog too, they're like, oh, I said, what's wrong with you people? You just hung 20 people, and now you're all upset because a dog got hung? Well,
Right.
Shut your mouths. But actually what they did is that one of the dogs they had, because dogs, when they get sick, they didn't let dogs hang around the fort or wherever they were staying at the time. They generally killed the dog. And they figured that this one dog was demonically inspired, so they ended up shooting this dog. So it kind of evolved into this legend of where they hung the dog along with the people. And then one of the women that they hung had an infant child, and the infant child, let's see, she was hung, and then the infant child was sent to prison, and the infant child died in prison. That's some cold-hearted crap there, folks. I mean, that's just that I don't know. Anyway, thank goodness we didn't adopt all of the Puritan values. Which the Puritan values is that hard work, education. They still have all of that, but not like the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims were a separate breed, and we can thank God for the godly principles that they provided our country. And only if we could go back to those. That's what just drives me nuts, is to see people saying, I want to abort my baby. I want to have the right to abort my baby. Where's your heart? I mean, where is your soul if you want to do that?
Right.
I don't know. Okay. Anybody got anything else they want to say today? Anything else I want to touch on? I pretty much.
I was gonna say liberty for me and not for thee.
Yeah, the double standard
That's
that we see today. Yeah, we had what was it? Nancy Pelosi's husband got arrested for DUI, and they just dropped the charges. He
Well,
pulled
of
out.
course.
Yeah,
He can't
exactly.
publicize something like that.
Yeah,
They're above the law and their family.
yeah. If that does not demonstrate the two-tiered system of justice that exists in this country, I don't know what does. I mean, that's just absolute. If you got a guy that is busted, who's that guy that got that was in one of Clinton's campaign guys, that he was just tried recently in DC, and they found him not guilty of lying to the FBI. Sussman, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So the story on that is, okay, so you had 3 jurors that were Clinton donors. One of them, whose husband actually actively worked for the Clinton campaign. You had another juror who was an AOC contributor to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as Sandy, because that's her name, was a contributor to her campaign. And another juror who believed that all cops in the FBI were racist. So this is the jury that Sussman went on trial for lying to the FBI because, and I don't know what Durham, I mean, Durham shouldn't even have brought the case. The judge was a Clinton appointee as well. So as soon as they couldn't get those jurors recused or kicked off, he should have just pulled the charges and went to another judge. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, dude, I saw that. I'm like, yeah, he's going to get off. Okay, there's no way they're going to convict him. But he was charged with lying to the FBI. Okay, what had happened was, the Clinton campaign produced this document. This was the first of many false documents that Trump had a secret server that was communicating with a server called the Alpha Bank server. Okay, with the bank Alpha Bank. Okay, which is a corrupt bank in Russia where all the tycoons, stash their money. Okay, all right. So supposedly Trump had this server that was communicating with this server. It was a secret deal. Blah blah blah. So they produced this document. They have internal records showing that the Clinton campaign believed that it was totally fabricated, totally false, and the guy in Clinton's campaign manager actually testified in the Sussman trial under oath that Hillary Clinton knew that it was fake. And even though she knew it was fake, she approved the release to the media. She's the one who pulled the trigger on this. So that's why you have all this tweets where, new information. Scientists now say that, I love how they all release this. Scientists and computer experts now say that Trump had a secret server communicating with Alpha Bank. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is so then a couple days later, after they released this to the press and built up the hype, the Clinton attorney, the Clinton attorney who also has an office actually at the FBI headquarters. He has an office
right.
in the FBI headquarters.
Yeah, I heard that.
He not only does he have an office in the FBI headquarters, he has a badge to get into said office, into secure areas. What the hell is this? This is a private attorney. Okay. Anyway, so he goes to the FBI. He texts him and says, I got information, blah, blah. And he goes to the FBI, and they knew him and everything, obviously. Okay? And he meets with them for 3 hours, giving this information, to which he says to the FBI, I'm giving this as a private citizen, not representing any entity or political body or any one person. This is just my concern as a private citizen. Well, then he goes ahead and bills the Clinton campaign for 3 hours of time. But he says, no, he was actually doing and he redacts it. There's no evidence of what he billed them for. I mean, he didn't put it, I think it's just something vague, just something general on it. But there were no detailed notes or anything, no breakdown of what he was billing for. It's basically a bill for 3 hours time. He says, well, no, I did other work for them that day, so that's what I billed them for. Right. Well, anyway, this jury let the dude off, okay, found him not guilty. But seriously, the things that came out about this was that Clinton herself knew it was a lie. and deliberately released this crap to the press, launching an FBI investigation. And the FBI itself, okay, the computer expert at the FBI himself testified and actually wrote a document that he questioned the person's mental acuity, okay, who came up with his report that there was a secret service to the FBI. Not only that, but what came out in this was that the Clinton campaign was actually really spying on the Trump campaign when he was a campaign and several months when he was in the White House.
Right.
They
That's,
were
I think
spying
that's
on
the
his.
biggest part. That needs to be the biggest part of it, saying that you have espionage going on a sitting president using
Exactly.
government tools and government
Exactly.
office.
And
I mean,
they're-
and you know, think if this would have been a Republican, a Republican Party doing this to let's say God forbid if Hillary would have won the election, if somebody would have done that to her.
Oh, exactly. It would have been worse than Watergate.
Oh my God! Well, it would
And
have.
I would say I would say this is worse than Watergate, and I would say rightfully so. If it was a Republican doing that to Hillary, it would have been also worse than Watergate. The problem is we got a two-tier justice system. The problem is there is when the left does it, when these Democrats do these vile things. Oh well, it's no big deal. Oh, don't worry about. You know what I mean? And it's just disgusts me. I mean, the FBI are. I mean, look what they did the Veritas project. You guys hear about that story?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, seriously, they came with a not just polite, okay, like when they go to mobsters' houses, okay, they go up there real nice and everything. Hey, we're coming in, we're gonna search. They, unless the dude's really dangerous, they don't go in there with an assault team. You know what I mean? Okay, but they went up all because there's got to be more to this diary than just her writing about how her father, Joe Biden, sexually molested her as a child. Okay, there really does have to be more into this. But either way, Veritas Project came in possession of Ashley Biden's diary. Okay, for those of you who don't know. All right. The Veritas.
Hold on, just a second, Red. He came into possession of it because she left this in a woman's shelter.
Yeah, in a rehab, in a halfway house. Yeah.
Okay, so consider this. What is the daughter of a man who wants to be president of the United States doing in rehab to begin with?
Because she's a crackhead. Yeah.
Okay, and his son too. So that in of itself should give you some type of understanding of this guy's influence and leadership abilities in his own home.
Exactly.
Let alone
for a country. Like I've said, you can't be that hasty. You can't be that you cannot have two children so sexually broken that they're both total drug addicts and sex addicts, okay? And not have sexual molestation going in that house. Okay? I mean there's just no way. Oh, here's another thing. This is just side note. You guys all heard about Biden's first wife, right? Okay?
The one that was killed in a car accident, yeah.
Yeah. Shortly after he was elected to Congress. Actually, he was sworn in Congress from his son's Beau or Hunter's hospital bed. Well, the story is that she pulled out in front of a semi truck. There was no distraction. The light wasn't in her face. Okay. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those things where she didn't see the semi truck. The story the police surmised that she pulled out in front of the semi truck. Okay, because she was distracted because of the kids in the car. Okay, I'm actually thinking no. And now, knowing what we know, and this is just a hypothetical of mine, but because the daughter died, okay, and the sons didn't, I'm actually thinking this was a family. This was suicide. This was her all of a sudden her abusive husband, who she knew was sexually molesting children, possibly her own daughter. Okay, was now going to be a member of Congress. And she had no way to escape this, so she tried to take herself out, along with her children, to spare them. I firmly believe this, okay? Because it doesn't, because her just pulling out in front of a semi, it doesn't pass the smell test. Plus, they slandered this driver. Biden did. Hey, she ran on this on drunk driving. Okay, he said that that the truck driver was drunk, ruined his life. Okay, and will not apologize for it.
Well, with that, he was actually I think he was running for the Senate.
Yeah.
I'm going to be wrong, and he was 29 years old.
Correct.
But at the time of the election, but he would turn 30, which is the minimum age for a senator, by the time that he got sworn in. So this is probably the youngest man to ever be elected to the Senate. And this is news to me that it would have been suicide or whatever. But, he made hay over it. This is where he gets all the, and of course, if your wife is killed in a traffic, come on, who's going to question you? Who's going to say anything? And then you're going to soak that for all the sympathy that you, and I don't know if this is true or not, Rad. I'm not endorsing it. I don't want anybody coming here to say that we got our tinfoil hats on here and we believe every conspiracy theory that comes down the pipe. But knowing what a reprobate this man is, I wouldn't put it past him. Let's just put it that way.
Again, it's a theory of mine, but I do honestly believe, because if you read this story, this thing sounds like his origin story, his backstory. It literally reads like a B script or a rejected script of The Omen. Okay, it really does. Okay, no, this guy. He finished bottom of the class in college. Said he was the top of his class in law school. He was the bottom. He was thrown out a couple times or reprimanded for plagiarizing his work.
Well, that's what he had to pull out of the 92 election, 88
multiple
or 92.
times.
One of the elections were. And think about that. Think about how far we have come how far we have fallen as a country, where somebody who's running for the president of the United States has to withdraw from his race because he was caught plagiarizing a paper way back in college. And then compare that to what we've gotten since that time. It's just absolutely astounding how morally corrupt we have. And I tell you who did it with Slick Will. I mean, okay, let's just get off the politics thing. I understand what you're saying, but I mean, there's probably some truth to that, but it's just sad how far our country has fallen, and this is what we have today.
I do want to get back to the whole the whole if you don't mind, finish the story on the Veritas project, the whole Ashley.
Oh yeah. That's what we're talking about. Sure.
So anyway, so they came in possession of this diary through someone who occupied the room of the halfway house, that Ashley Biden was in during the 2020 campaign. Okay. She actually writes in this diary, that she knew that during one of the presidential debates with Trump, Biden was crying because she was back in rehab or something like that. But anyway, be that as it may, this woman comes in contact with it. She gives it to, she tried to give it to a few places, but they were like, no, we don't want to touch that. And then she gave it to Veritas Project, came in possession of it. And Veritas Project, because they actually are a news organization and they do try to verify things, they actually went to the Biden lawyers and went to the Biden campaign or whatever and asked them to verify if this diary was true or not. The lawyers responded, no, it's not true, but we want it back. Like Hunter Biden's laptop. Absolutely, that's not Hunter Biden's laptop, but we want it back. No, it doesn't work that way. So anyway, so after wrangling around for a while, whatever, and they were saying it was stolen, this and that. Even if it was stolen, all right, it doesn't matter. The press can come into possession of stolen documents. That is actually binding in law and report on that. The Pentagon Papers, the stuff that what's his name leaked, what's his name, Manning or whatever, all that stuff. So they can legally do this. But so anyway, so that wasn't even an issue. So then they decided to give it to the police department. They had actually already given the diaries to the police department in New York. When the FBI came a knocking on 3 or 4 of their reporters' houses, and they didn't just come politely knocking. They came with no knock warrants, even though they did knock, but they came with an assault team, a rapid response team, AR-15s, the whole bit, body armor, camo and stuff like that, assault helmets, the whole deal. To a reporter, busted in the apartment, handcuffed him, took him outside, and then made him wait outside so all the neighbors could see it, because they made a big ruckus about it, so all the neighbors could see it. And while they called in an evidence search team, which took a couple of hours to get there. Oh, by the way, is the head of the Veritas Project, I forget his name, off the top of my head right now. But as he's sitting there waiting in handcuffs, They did take him out of the hand because I think at some time. But anyway, as he's sitting there, and this is like 15 minutes after the raid, he gets a text message from the New York Times, who he's suing, by the way, and winning, from the New York Times, asking him to comment on the FBI raid at his house. How does
What?
Yeah. How did the FBI, how did the New York Times know about this super secret raid, okay, like 10, 15 minutes after it happened? I mean seriously. Oh, and then the New York Times actually got a hold because they took the FBI took his phone and his computers and his laptop, which had all kinds of privileged information communication between him, his team, and his lawyer.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard this.
And the New York Times published that. You can't do that. So how did the New York Times do it? I mean, the whole thing is just a scam. All for this diary that they say it wasn't true, but now evidently thinks they confirmed it is true. But then if you go to Veritas Project, they actually go through, they have an FBI insider who's leaked and goes over what's been released as the FBI internal documents on this. So they have them listed as, I mean, this is only top secret, whatever. He's listed as a media, as a news organization, which means it has to be handled with kit gloves, which they didn't do. And then they tried to change it, saying, no, he's not. You know what I mean? Dude, like I said, the FBI, when Republicans take control, if they do not fire these FBI agents, which I'm sure they'll probably retire, but I am talking deep, deep fire. Like, for instance, whoever was that manager in charge who pulled the trigger on that, everyone that was promoted under him, everyone that was hired under him, everyone that worked with him needs to be fired because they only promote and put in people that they know are loyal to the Democratic Party. You see what I'm saying? That's how deep this has to be. And everyone, those people hired, you know.
You can't do that unless they're political appointees. You just,
Right.
I mean, they have a union and all. But here's what you
Well,
can
laws
do.
need to be changed on that. Then they need to change the laws on that.
Here's what you do. You put them in charge of a broom. This is your new assignment here. You're going to ensure that nobody steals this broom from the blue broom closet. If you come in twice a week to ensure that it hasn't been stolen, that's great. You just keep us up to date. Goodbye. That's all. You just lost all your access. That's what you have to do to people like that. You have to humiliate them and get them to resign. That's
you put them on the shelf, but they still get their retirement. They still get, you know.
Okay,
what I mean?
well, our country, we're $32 trillion in debt. I would rather these guys watch a broom than be snooping around in my computer database. Not that I have anything to hide, but I'm just saying snooping around in my computer, putting people in. Think of that guy that guy that got charged with contempt of Congress. I think it was advisor to Trump. He claimed executive privilege, and they still charge him with contempt of Congress. And they went to the airport where this guy's getting ready on a plane and publicly humiliated this guy.
Yeah, they did the same thing. They approached him with the TAC team, fully armored. They handcuffed and leg shackled him.
Right, okay. And this is what it's meant to do. It's not whether it's right or wrong. This is meant to send a message. This is what happens to you. Yep. This is what happens to you if you dare to cross this. And we see, and not only we see this in politically, we also see this religiously with Islam. I mean, you see what the examples that they make out of people. A great example is that what's the one from Pakistan? Bibi, what was her name?
Oh, Bibi, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't blaspheme Muhammad or any, but what do? They trumped up some charges on her, put her in jail, sentenced her to death, and then the whole country, loses its flipping noodle when they finally do the right thing and release her. The Supreme Court says, "Oh, she didn't do anything to deserve death," and they release her, and then they start killing each other over it. Oh, we can't have that, so let's kill each other for a little bit. And I don't know how many people died in those riots doing this. It was just absolutely disgusting. What is this, Connie? Here also, Hatun videos, seat count. What do we got here? 15,920. All right. So, Connie, can you post that is that in the private chat? Let me take a look at this because she did get dragged out. Okay. Let's look. What did you say here? What was it? Count. Let me go back. 15 seconds. If I didn't have death, which I do here. Okay, there's 17, 15, pause. All right, let me share my screen, remove, add. Now, I got to do something else. Let me, hold on a second, guys. I got to remove. And then I have to stop screen. Okay, there we go. Now I got to, because I didn't have the audio connected. That's what I got to do is I got to connect the audio. Share with audio. What side is, okay, this is, okay. I just want to make sure because I don't want somebody sniveling and whining about, you know what. All right. How long do I play this for, Connie? Can you tell me before I hit play?
Just for a few seconds. That's when they take her book and then jump to 9:20.
Okay, so they take her book.
They chase for a while and then they stop chasing. Then at 9:20, that's when the cops come and take her.
Yeah, because she's the criminal.
Why?
I know, it's so stupid.
Sorry, I just got.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 9:20.
No, I was looking at that, and
I thought I had this fixed.
Oh, this is the Hatun Tasha.
Allahu Akbar.
Listen to those dogs.
Yes,
she got stolen from, and they're all rejoicing like filthy dogs.
Wow.
She's the true victim, and all those Muslims start chanting. But it goes on.
She's a warrior. I mean, think of what she's been through. I mean, she's a lioness of this.
Amen.
Of this. What were you saying, Connie? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, she was the one being stolen from, so she's, in the eyes of the law, is the victim. And then when they take her, all those dogs start chanting. It's just filthiness, very childish.
Oh, this is the wisdom in their videoing everything. And she's protected.
And Islam was supposed to elevate women, right? Look what they do to Hatun.
I haven't seen any place they elevate women in Islamic scripture.
No,
Maybe
sir.
stomp on them a little bit.
No, do you remember was it last year when she was trapped in that restaurant?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh.
She was actually trapped. It was during our show where we were actually playing that. I mean, there was like a mob outside of that restaurant that would not let her out. And they were going to, I don't remember what they said they were going to do. How did she ever get out of that? Did they just finally leave or what? Does anybody know? I see Adam is in the chat. Adam, yes. At the beginning of the show, somebody said that she had been stabbed, but it turned out to be incorrect information. So we retracted, and no, she was not stabbed. She was arrested. But I don't know if she's has she been processed in jail or how they work those things out. They're in England, and I don't know what crime are they going to charge her with? Trying to get her book back from a guy that stole it from her. This is right here. Just safely wanted to keep.
And at 12:10 on the count, 12:10, they got her hands behind her back. They're running her off, and one guy is trying to throw a book at her while they're chanting.
Because the thing is, because there was a recent case with an older guy that they kind of, because the thing is she's done nothing wrong, so there's no reason why she should be arrested. So
Let's take a look at this.
Okay.
I think her impact lately has been powerful because she has simply been asking, "What's the difference between you and I?" And they state it, and then she shows them Qurans where passages between you and I are different. That one passage uses the word you, one passage uses the word I, and it shows, and it leaves the Muslims who are looking at this confused. How can they say there's only one Quran?
Well, when they don't have anything, you're absolutely right. When there's no answers, this is what they resort to. They go to violence, or they pull.
Well, I think it's kind of
absolutely disgusting. Go ahead,
Well,
Isa, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just like, why does it?
But you did.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you. The thing that I was going to say is that I just don't understand, why does it matter if there are multiple Qurans or not? Who cares? Like, this is such a stupid thing to die on a hill for. If you think God transmitted a message, then why not just accept that? Like other people don't take that position. It's just insane.
This is part of their tautology. This is the perfect preservation is one of those pillars because it says in the Quran that God will, I don't know if they use the word preserve, but if it is supposed to be the eternal speech of Allah given to Muhammad, and then it was passed down and memorized by whatever you call those guys. What do the guys call that memorize the Quran? They're not.
My understanding is that's a relatively new doctrine.
The word is preserved in the Arabic. It says that we as a reminder, and we will preserve in Arabic. Hafizun.
Who are the people? What are the people, Steve? What are the people called that memorize the Quran?
Qadi.
What? Qadi?
Yeah, Qadi or Hafaz. They also call them Hafaz.
What's an isnad then? What's an isnad?
Isnad is when the hadith, the chain of narrators.
All right. Okay. There you go. All right.
But Hafiz is another word that you would use, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah.
Hussein, it's like a guardian. It's supposed to be the guardian of the Quran.
Yeah, Hafiz is also they use that for like a memorizer too. You know that you're keeping it. Yeah. But it's the same.
Okay,
that's
so
the
why
same
is this?
Allah says.
So why is it so important? Why is this perfect preservation shtick so important?
Because they've lied to people, and the biggest thing about it. The biggest thing about it, you guys. First of all, you are completely indoctrinated in it. That this is a perfect book, perfectly preserved, every dot, every letter. To the, for the last 1400, it's the miracle of the Quran. Ahmed Didat taught it. Shakir, all of them did. But the big important thing about this, you guys, is it's a battering ram against the Bible, because they said the Bible's been changed, the Torah's been changed, the Injil's been changed, but not the Quran. That's the number one reason of its importance. That's the one thing that they say distinguishes Islam from every religion, is that the book has been perfectly preserved. And now that it's been exposed, they're just, it's crumbling.
I was just writing down a correlation here, and it now that I wrote it down, it probably doesn't make as much sense. But when you think about when the Bible initially could not be translated into the mother tongues of those people, and masses were given in Latin, you know, when you start thinking about the reason why that they did not want the Bible translated into the common language and disseminated into the common man's hands is because the common man would therefore be able to pick it up and look at it and see that what the Catholic Church or the Church of England or whatever church it was teaching things that didn't follow what they're reading, were not congruous with what they were reading. So they wouldn't want that. So here you have a tautology that says you have perfect preservation. And if you have perfect preservation, then, well, our sources are much better than the Christian sources. This is what you're saying here, Steve. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. So since there's much more well preserved than the Christian sources, then therefore they carry much more authority than the Christian sources. So therefore Islam is true and Christianity is false or is in error. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's right. And it really is the battering ram that I use against Christianity.
Well, you know, I've said this repeatedly on the show, and maybe not repeatedly, but I've said it a few times on the show. I don't have a problem with them claiming perfect preservation. You want to say it's perfectly preserved? Okay, fine. Go ahead and have a perfectly preserved book that is scientifically laughable, historically inaccurate, full of all kinds, is anachronistic, and is demonstrably plagiarized by all kinds of other writings, from the Talmud, from the Mishnah, from Syriac folklore, from Gnostics. So that's fine. You want to claim perfect preservation? Keep your perfect preservation and choke on it.
Yeah.
So,
you know what? That verse is 15:9, which is the jewel of it is the basis, absolute foundation, basis of the perfect preservation doctrine is 15 verse 9, which says, we sent down the dhikr. The word is dhikr. And dhikr means also Torah. It also means the Zabur. You know, so it's also, does not just mean Quran. If you want to use that verse also argues for the preservation of the Bible.
Right.
Amazing.
Well, why can't they make that applicable? Because if you're using what he has sent down, and they claim that the Torah was sent down, the Psalms were sent down, the Gospel was sent, this Injil, whatever the heck that is. How can they claim that it's not perfectly preserved then?
Because they don't believe the Quran. They believe what they're taught in school. I'm serious, because it is clear as day. It says we sent down the reminder. The word dhikr means reminder. And the Quran in other places says the Torah is the reminder. The other places says that the Zabur is the reminder. And so that verse is an argument for the preservation of the Bible as much as for the Quran.
Right. All right, well, explain this to me then. What is the rescuing device for this? I mean, if you're gonna make an apologetic against that claim, say they're going to argue with you, say, well, that doesn't apply to the Torah, that doesn't apply to the Psalm, that doesn't apply to the Gospel. What's their justification for that?
What's their justification?
Right. Yeah. What is their counter argument?
Well, it's a very flimsy argument because we have the evidence. The evidence is that the Quran says that the Christians and Jews are the people of the reminder. That's Ahl al-Dhikr. Dhikr is the word used in 15:9. Talking about Jews and Christians as we are called Ahl al-Dhikr, the people of the reminder. Well, that the verse 15:9 says, I sent down the reminder and I will preserve it. So, you know, all of the logic and the evidence is on our side on this one, but all they got is the refusal to accept it.
So they throw their Allah under the bus, their Muhammad under the bus to listen to the imams and whatever they tell them.
Wow, that's kind of a revelation. I didn't realize that it was that straightforward, because I've heard counter arguments about that, because when I've seen people approach Muslims, when Muslims say, okay, well, the Quran teaches that the Bible has been corrupted, but it doesn't say that in the Quran. I'm correct on this, right? It does not. It does not say it anywhere.
It does not say that at all.
Okay.
See, Alpha
And-
D talks about that too. That vicar, that's the Bible, and so does Jay and Jay Smith and that German guy that he's had on recently. It's meaning our scriptures.
Well, there you go. Exposed, bare naked. The king has no clothes when it comes to that. And we've gotten a lot of different people today in chat, and I appreciate everybody that's showing up today. It's kind of neat. I don't know how many new people we've had. Let's see, that we have not had before. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a couple Muslims here, right? Okay. 6, 7. The counter jihad movement. Is that any of you guys in chat? Wherever that is. Okay. 6, 8, 9. We had 9 new people in chat today. That's absolutely phenomenal. Hareel Johnson, Jake Johnson. Is that how you pronounce that name? That's a new fella or woman. I'm not sure if that was a man's name or a woman's name. Clifford, what happened to you? You went sideways and you just left. Looks like he didn't. I mean, maybe we're not. Maybe we got to go.
Might be the joys of StreamYard today.
I tell you, StreamYard's just been terrible today. I'm not sure.
I've had those days, so I can't say anything.
Yeah. I've seen you when you had those days where you had to log completely out and log back in and reboot. And
I don't know if it's my computer or if it's StreamYard, but yeah, it's been lately. I had to restart, so I'm thinking it's partly my computer.
Yeah, it's probably StreamYard.
I had a Windows update, and that's really what screwed things up.
Okay, folks, anybody got anything else they want to add for the day? We're coming up at the end of the show. We don't have to go an entire 2 hours.
I'll make one suggestion. If you've been listening to the show since the beginning and you don't know who Jesus is, take the time to find out for yourself, because that's the only way to find salvation.
Amen.
Amen. And a lot of the Muslims, when they call CP and they start realizing that Muhammad just lied in the doctrine, the main question that they ask them is, then what is the truth? What is the truth?
Yeah.
And then he tells them, Jesus is the truth. He was all holy, this, that, but that's the main question they ask afterwards is, what is the truth? Praise God for that question.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button here. Yeah, Ed said, oops, here we go. Ed said he had to reboot in StreamYard. What's this? They also post about it on their page. Doesn't look like they have it fixed. Huh? Typical. You get what you pay for. Actually, I do pay for this thing, come to think about it. It isn't like I have a free subscription or anything. Coming and going, getting ripped off. All right, folks, we're going to call it quits for the day. We'll be back here on Tuesday. Do you guys have any topics that you'd like to discuss on Tuesday off the top of your head?
I was.
We're still waiting for those pictures.
What pictures?
Israel pictures.
Oh, Dominic. Yes. Hey, yo, dude. When are you done yet, or you need another 6 months? Or
no, not even 6. There's loads of you wouldn't believe how many pictures I have on the. There's absolutely loads. Like I must have a few thousand pictures. Just
how many?
A few thousand, I think.
Well, it's only a 2-hour show, for Pete's sake. We can't.
Yeah. So.
Well, pick out your best 20 or 25.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Dominic, look at it this way. People like me who really, really, really want to go and haven't want to see the dream.
They want to live vicariously through your pictures. So just let me know when you're ready to roll that. I mean, if you're not, whenever you're ready, you have my email, and I'm not going to sit here and. Here's our counter jihad unit guy. I mean, I like that name. Counter jihad unit. It isn't just the counter jihad. He's like a squad there. He's got a whole team going. Who knows?
Ooh. Hey, how about doing the Council of Nicaea? They always want to say, 300 years after Christ, that's when they decided that Jesus was God.
Sure.
That would be a good one to do because they always want to throw that up to people that may not know about the Council of Nicaea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great topic. You can go ahead and present then on Tuesday, Connie.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Hey,
No, okay. No,
I'm just
Council of
sitting in your
Nicaea.
college class here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can. Okay, so Tuesday, Council of Nicaea. Bring your guns or your ammunition or whatever we're going to do here, and we'll do the Council of Nicaea because you're absolutely right. They say
Hey,
that
there's Clifford.
Jesus was deified at
Sorry
the
about that
Council of Nicaea.
phone call.
No problem. Yeah,
The phone
Clifford,
company. What'd you say?
Yeah, he said he had a phone call, but yeah, Clifford, I had suggested if Eric wanted to do a PowerPoint, his slideshow on the Council of Nicaea, because that guy, the Christian friendly Muslim, just thought that he could rake the coals over you on that.
Well, it's like everything else in life. You take the good with the bad. But the thing about it is, if you understood what the Council of Nicaea was all about, it wasn't about what they think it was about. So we have to
homoousios versus homo, one iota of difference.
Well, yeah. Well, either of the same substance or of similar substance. That's the difference between those two. But because and that little letter does make quite a bit of difference. It's different between calling Jesus a God versus calling him God. That little a there, just one letter is all it takes to mess up a perfectly good message. But
Eric, I actually have some of our areas as work, so if you're interested, I'll send some stuff to you.
Well, how about if I just give you a call tomorrow or something?
Yeah, sure.
Would that be okay? And we'll just go through it together. I wanted to let's see here.
Right. Thank you, Eric and Paul.
Because I'm going through my little Lutheran boy catechism here. That we had to learn the Council of Nicaea, and it's the Nicene Creed anyway, and it says true God from true God. What does it say?
Begotten, not made.
There we go. Begotten, not made, being of one substance with the Father, through whom all things. Yeah, we got this.
Yeah. And Kenny wanted to throw at him. Jesus was created. Jesus was created. Well, when you go by a false book, then you'll believe anything. But if you go by the scriptures that Islam claims to confirm, then you have to choose the scriptures that his Allah claims to confirm.
Right. Well, and the idea was that since Jesus, the Son became a human being, that the human being was necessarily created because we're all human beings and all human beings are created by God. The body may have been prepared for him, but the Son always existed, and that's something that a lot of people don't seem to get or understand, is that the Son was always with God. John was right. In the beginning was the Word, and it amazes me where people even go with that, because they'll say in the beginning was the speech, or in the beginning was the the spoken word, and then the spoken word became flesh.
Kenny turned Unitarian on Clifford, that 5-hour thing. He turned Unitarian. He threw a lot of the Unitarian arguments.
Timestamp for that. John 17, verse 5. And now, Father, glorify me in your presence with the glory I had with you before the world began.
Yes.
Okay. Kenny goes, oh, that's no problem, because Adam and Eve and all of us was with Allah in the beginning. So yes, Muslims have no problem with Jesus saying that. If he said that, see how they do that? Oh yeah, no problem.
Because according to Kenny, all of these things are just attributed to Jesus. Jesus may never have said those things, but they're just attributed to what he said.
Yeah, that's the thing. How can that is an argument from what kind of argument is that? It's
It's an
something
argument
absurdum.
Jesus
from
seminar.
silence. It's an argument from silence, really.
But
Because
the thing is, Jesus says, Thomas says, "Hakurios mu, hatheos mu," my Lord and my God. Like when Thomas says,
Sure.
"My Lord and my God," I mean, kurios is from the Septuagint, which means like Yahweh, and it's like you haven't, like, you've got kind of creeds in the actual New Testament that
right,
clearly
and
say that Jesus is simply God.
Yeah.
Like you've got certain verses that you can't get around. It's like you kind of you can dodge.
They try to get around that. You know, they hey, it's never for lack of trying on their part to try to get around that passage, and they'll turn it into something that it never said.
Or they'll
the
they
king
say,
of the eisegetes. They're not the exegetes, the kings of the eisegetes is what they are.
yeah, Kenny goes, oh, but what about, this is how he tries to combat. Well, but what about Jesus say, I'm going to my God and your God and your Father and my Father. And see, Clifford had said, well, you're rejecting the Father and the Son relationship. Yes, I am. Well, then why is all the time when they try to discuss, they say, Father, y'all believe Father. Okay, that's fine. But then when you pin it down to them, Kenny says, no, I reject the Father and Son relationship. We don't believe that. So then why even argue about the Father?
Yeah, and then you have the idea that they venerate Jesus as a prophet. If they did, why aren't they
following him?
Why not revere what Jesus said? If you honor a prophet, you would honor his words
and his prophecies. And one of his prophecies was he's gonna die, and he's going to be buried, and he's going to be raised again on the third day.
Right. Something again which Kenny rejected and said that Christ never died.
Well, Allah wasn't there. Muhammad wasn't there.
And if you ask Kenny, what evidence do you have that Muhammad did or Jesus did not die? He's going to go to Gnostic sources written down 150 years after the fact. He even tried to, on my show, he tried to cite the Gospel of Barnabas.
Oh, wow.
On my show one time. Yeah.
That says
might as well go to the Gospel of Thomas as well then.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Everything that's not canonical, and it's all. And again, this is this conspiracy theory type stuff that goes in the face of all what the early church fathers have written about and what their testimony is. You can't know anything from history using the historical method. If you use the historical method, you can never get to their conclusions ever. The only thing that you can get is to an abject place of ignorance and idiocy.
Yeah, and
that's what you have to practice in order to follow that prophet, that false prophet Muhammad. Go ahead, Connie.
Yeah, and they keep on wanting to throw out. Well, nobody knows who wrote all these books. Nobody knows. Well,
nobody knows that how Aisha was either. Right.
Yeah, Kenny wasn't there.
Yeah,
but see,
none of us were.
But you've got no authorship for the. I mean, you've got early church fathers that state that Matthew wrote Matthew, but you've got no confirmation regarding the Quran or the Hadiths or any aspect of any other book, right? Like regarding Islam, you haven't got extra sources confirming any of the actual Quranic sort. Like there's nothing,
right?
Like you there's no way that you can say that Al-Bukhari wrote Al-Bukhari. So,
well, the earliest extant manuscript of Bukhari is 400 years after Muhammad died.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's 150 years after Bukhari lived, too. Mm-hmm. So, you got 250 years between Muhammad and Bukhari, who's supposed to be the most trusted source for hadith. Mm-hmm. And then you have 150 years from when he actually compiled it to the earliest extant manuscript that we have from him. So, and I'm not saying that the distance from when he died to the earliest extant manuscript is that big of a deal. But when you start trying to compare the two, and they're trying to make arguments against the Bible and the early church fathers, then you have to be consistent, which they are consistently inconsistent in their argumentation and their application, and that's
Right.
and we expose it every week here. It's not that hard.
What I understand about Kenny was that he was with the Assemblies of God for some time, and yet rejected the Trinity. And yet, and I'm going, well, how could you call yourself well, I guess it could be members, but I don't think that the Assemblies of God would allow someone into membership who rejected the triune God.
Well, I'm thinking a lot of his testimony, quote unquote, is, well, I don't want to say, because you get I think a lot of it's fabricated. I think he's a hustler of sorts. He has this part in this book back here I have on this shelf here, where he was talking about being a member of the church and how hypocritical people were. And the story that he tells is that he was at a fundraiser. There was a fundraiser. And I actually did a podcast on this, and he made a counter podcast because I said that the guy that told him that he needed Jesus was acting like an a-hole. He says, "Oh, listen to this Christian say asshole on his show." Okay, all right, fine, whatever. But the story goes is that he's at this fundraiser, and it's by now keep in mind, this is a Christian friend of his that's putting on a fundraiser because he had a motorcycle accident and they're trying to help him with the bills, yada, yada, yada. He says, "Oh, they didn't make a lot of money anyway," but okay, who cares? But there was a guy that got up and spoke, and he said something on the lines that everybody needs Jesus. And he said, he looked at me and he says, "I'm just saying, brother." And he got all indignant that somebody would call him out on his faith in a church, raising money for him. And when you think about it, that isn't proper to do. I don't know if that'd be proper, but I'm just saying that it's not, when you're trying. The guy was just being a butthole. I mean, you could have said something else. You didn't have to bring that up. You didn't have to cause all this tension by, witnessing at that time. There's a time and a place for it, of course. And to do it public like that, the guy was being an asshole. And this is the type of garbage that you get from this guy. This is the type of attitude that you get, that unless you're bowing down to me and agreeing with everything I'm saying, then you're the one that's ignorant. You're the one that's uneducated. You're the one that doesn't know your Bible. I know it better than you. And I just got sick and tired of dealing with the guy. I'm just, you just cannot, you can only tolerate so much of a person who is in abject denial. If you deny, and we're going to end with this, unless you guys have something else to say, Kenny ain't right in the head. There you go. That's like the best. Okay. If you deny the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, you deny that, you're an idiot. Now, whether you believe in the resurrection, whether you believe he was the Son of God, whether you believe that he performed miracles, whether you don't, that's fine. But if you say that he did not die on a cross, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You are spiritually blinded. You are a worker of iniquity.
He just ascended up.
What? Say that again, Cliff. I didn't hear.
He had, according to Kenny, he just ascended. He didn't die. He just ascended into heaven.
From where? Straight from the cross, or how does this work out?
Didn't experience death yet because he's going to come back to earth, marry Mary.
Muhammad's going to marry Mary.
Jesus is going to marry Mary, and and they're supposed to be together for like 40 years, have children of their own. And I'm going, where are you getting this from, Ken?
That actually
certainly not from Scripture.
No, that's a mixture. So it's funny. He is spouting actual total heresy in Islam. Well, okay, so some of it comes from Islamic Sunni doctrine, but the rest of it is like Ahmadiyyan stuff. The marrying Mary thing, I think, is strict Ahmadiyyan. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, they believe in, and even this stuff about, okay, well, here's the funny part. The Quran says that Jesus will pay the what do you call it, the tax or whatever, the charity tax. What is it called? I forget.
The jizya.
The zakat.
Oh, the zakat. Excuse me. Yes,
he will
sir.
pay the zakat until he dies. Well, Jesus is not dead. What job does he have that he's paying the zakat, and where is he paying it at, and who's he paying it to? Okay. The Quran also says Jesus said, I have worshipped you until the day I died. It actually says he died. Okay. But then the Muslims say, well, no, that's talking in the future. And then they come up with this whole thing, 40 years or whatever he's going to return. And I mean, they just get really goofy on that stuff because they made up as they went along. But I just want to add one last thing to this. Muslims like to claim this, I think it's Isaiah 47, and they like to claim it's a prophecy about Muhammad, the scrolls one. It's these words are like, the prophecy or it's like words written in a scroll that is sealed. You will go up to the man who can read.
Isaiah 29:12.
Is it 29:12? Yeah. Well, you know what? Because Kenny likes to say be a reader and not a repeater. Okay?
Oh, he told that to Clifford.
Several times.
He told that to Clifford in this one. You need to be a reader, not a repeater. So he got christened. Clifford did.
I hope you responded was because I threw him off. He went off the last time I was on the show. I asked him. I said, "So was Muhammad a reader?" He said, "Oh, no, you call backstage." Anyway, but here's the thing. So this prophecy, it's a condemnation prophecy because it's telling them you're not going to be able to understand this because you're blind, right? They like to claim it's a prophecy of Muhammad. But here's the deal. It's a prophecy about them. Because even though Kenny is a reader and not a repeater, unlike his prophet Muhammad, you come up with the words of the scroll, and it's sealed. It's sealed to their hearts. They cannot read it. Even though it is black and white, even though it is clear as day, okay, that Jesus died on the cross, you come up to Kenny, and because God has removed that from him for some reason, I don't know why, because probably he's arrogant, unrepentful, prideful, and
like the Pharisees.
Everybody owes him. That's another thing about Kenny. You're going to owe me on the day of judgment. That's his big deal. But he's not going to owe anyone. I actually asked him. I said, "Are you going to owe anyone on the day of judgment?" Yeah, it deteriorates quicker from there.
Probably
but anyway, but that's what it is, and it's actually sad to say because he's a functioning adult. Okay. He can understand certain things, but when it comes to this, he just cannot accept it, will not accept it, because honestly, it's like Jesus said, it's personal. It's not they hate you. It's because they hate me before they even knew you. Okay, it's personal, and that's all I want to say. Oh, that and let's go, Brandon. Anyway, I'm out.
I was wondering when that was going to come out.
Let's go, Brandon.
Okay, guys, we got to roll this up. I don't want to make it too long because it won't be able to fit onto Blog Talk Radio on the download. I got to do it in MP3 format. No, it doesn't let you upload so much. So we're going to cut it short. Council of Nicaea on Tuesday. I'll try to have something prepared for that. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe,
and hit that bell.
Ring the bell. There you go. I was getting there. I got it. Look at that. Huh? It's only taken me 3 years to do it, but I got it.
That all-important bell.
That's right. Ring that bell to get those notifications. You guys show up. If you want to come on the show, folks, let me know. Send me an email, Eric the Caffer @gmail.com, and I'll bring you on. And if you're Muslim, if you're a Muslim, if you notice, let me just say this before we close. If you notice, if you're a Muslim and you come onto this show, you are given nothing but respect and dignity from me. I try to be as fair as I can with you, and I try to be as patient as I possibly can. So if you're Muslim, you want to come on the show and you want to tell us how we're all wrong on that, I welcome that. I welcome the conversation. I welcome the argument. So anyway, God bless y'all, and we will see you Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time here on the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. Pray for Hatun. May God bless her.
Yes.
Thank you.
Muchachos.